Good morning. My name is Linda Mowers, a member of the worship team, and my pronouns are she and her. We acknowledge that Buckman Bridge Unitarian Universalist Church is on the traditional homelands of the Tamaqua, as well as other historical indigenous groups. Our state is home to Seminole, Miccosukee, Muskogee, Choctaw, and to individuals of many other native groups. We acknowledge the historical and continuing impacts of colonization on indigenous communities and will continue to work to be more accountable to the needs and history of indigenous peoples. We encourage each of you to learn more about the indigenous people in our community and their way of life here on their ancestral lands. We begin our time of worship this morning first with a special ingathering message from the president of our Unitarian Universalist Association of Congregations, the Reverend Dr. Susan Frederick-Gray.
Hello, Unitarian Universalists. I'm the Reverend Susan Frederick-Gray, president of your Unitarian Universalist Association. It is so good to be with you for another season of Ingathering. This time marks the end of summer, when we come together to renew our commitments to each other, to our Unitarian Universalist communities, and to begin another vital year of ministry. In the summer months, I hope that you and your loved ones found some time to rejuvenate your bodies and spirits, to rest, to enjoy the long summer days, to pursue hobbies that bring you joy. I know that the world is all too much, and it matters that we take time to rest. For rest is necessary for the quality of our lives, of our ministries, and of our spirits. We are all living in what I have come to call a liminal time, a time in between. The pandemic has upended so much. After 2 years plus of virtual and hybrid gatherings in our congregations, the ways in which people connect to religious community has broadened, and new patterns are still emerging. On so many levels, what comes next is still unfolding and being imagined. As Unitarian Universalists, we are called to care for each other and to create resilient, theologically imaginative spiritual community that sustains us and inspires us as we navigate what's to come and what is needed. And there is so much needed. From supporting access to reproductive care to showing up through UU the Vote to elect leaders that will work to protect our children, our planet, our future, and our deeply held values. It also matters that we attend to doing the fundamentals of religious community, like supporting children and families recovering from, and in some cases still experiencing, the collective trauma of the last few years. Our world needs our message of love and justice. Our world needs brave, bold, and loving communities that are in the struggle for equity, dignity, and compassion. One way to join with your sibling Unitarian Universalists in this work is through UU the Vote. You can find out more at uuthevote.org. Your Unitarian Universalist Association is the embodiment of the covenant that all of our congregations make to each other to support each other. And the UUA is here because of your commitment to make and support and amplify our values, to support each of our congregations in their time of need, and to be more than any of us are alone. At the UUA, we are committed to being steadfast partners with you in this liminal time and in all that is ahead. As you gather in this sacred hour and join again in community, may we each remember the hundreds and thousands of Unitarian Universalists that are gathering all across our association, celebrating and calling themselves back into the power and the possibility a faithful community. For we are not alone, and we make each other strong. I send you my love and my blessings as we enter this new congregation year and celebrate Ingathering. Much love and deep care to all of you.
I now invite you to find the insert in your order of service with the music and words to our opening hymn, We Belong to the Earth, which was written by our own Dr. Gary Smart. We will also have the words on our screen. Gary will play it through one time first, and then I invite you all to rise and join me in all three verses.
Good morning. I'm Donna Zimmerman, and my pronouns are she and her. I'm a proud member of the worship team, which has collaborated to bring you this very special water sharing service for Ingathering Sunday. Welcome all, and I extend a special welcome to those who are making a returning visit, and especially to those who are visiting for the first time. If you haven't already done so, please stop by our welcome table at the front door and pick up some literature about this church and our denomination. If you've been coming for a while and are interested in finding out more about membership, please see anyone who has a yellow sticker on their name tag that says, "New? Ask me." They will be happy to answer your questions and introduce you to Julie Smithers, our membership chair, who can let you know about the 2 Learn About Us classes we offer to give you a good foundation on which to make your decision about membership. After the service, please join us for refreshments that will be served at the back of the sanctuary. It keeps moving forward. We have all come to this church from many different paths, from just about every faith tradition and no faith. What unites us is our personal search for truth, growth, justice, love, and service. That is embodied in the Unitarian Universal Association principles listed on the back of your order of service. Our commonality is there. Together we support each other in our individual journeys. A building doesn't define or confine our faith, because we will never change the world by going to church. We need to be the church and live our values in the world. Now, if you will please ensure that your electronic devices are silenced, we will enter into our sacred time together. Our opening words are by Reverend Molly Hausch Gordon. We gather together this morning tenderly, like drops of dew on a leaf of grass. Hopefully, like gathered raindrops in a cloud. Gleefully, like water rushing in a stream to the sea. Deeply, like groundwater pulled up from a well. We gather from every direction for another year of growth and depth, another year of companionship and hope, another year of learning to love this world. We gather like the water that joins us across all creation, the water that connects us within and without, merging and flowing across the entire world. Now please remain seated and join me in saying our Congregational Covenant, which is on the inside of your order of service. We covenant to engage one another with honesty, kindness, and respect, to value diversity, seek understanding of our differences, and practice gracious accountability with care, love, and empathy. We make these promises to those who are here and those yet to come, so that we may be a safe, welcoming, and beloved community of acceptance, learning, and transformation. I now invite Stacy Asimos to come up to light our chalice as I read the words by Katie Gelfand. We light this chalice as a symbol of reunion. We reunite in this sanctuary to share the flow of our hearts with one another. We gather in ritual to celebrate our fountains of joy. Try this, Stacy. To hold each other through storms of grief, to guide one another through rapids of transformation, to rest together on ponds of stillness. Together, we honor the spirit of water in its many forms and its life-giving essence. Now I invite you to all rise in body or spirit and join me in singing our call to worship, and the words are printed in your order of service.
This day is simply one more day on the calendar, the 11th day of September, another beautiful, sunny day on the cusp between summer and fall. And yet, this day, September 11th, will never be just another day on the calendar, as we remember that beautiful, sunny day in September 21 years ago, a day that began like so many others with people going about their ordinary day-to-day lives, and then in the brief span of a few hours ended in shock and disbelief as airplanes became weapons of mass destruction, skyscrapers burned and fell to the ground, and smoke and ash filled the air. A day that is painful to remember, yet impossible to forget. And so, we pause to remember. We remember with gratitude all the heroes and heroines of that day, the firefighters and emergency responders who demonstrated such courage in the midst of crisis. We remember in sorrow the innocents who perished, the stockbrokers, the janitors, the office workers, the passengers and bystanders, women, men, and children, firefighters and police officers who were victims of such calculated and senseless violence. We remember with hope the voices that called and still call for unity in the face of division and hatred, and urged peace even as our nation prepared for war. We remember in bewilderment the ways that the events of that day changed who we are as a nation and continue to haunt us. And remembering the terror and violence of that day, we rededicate ourselves this day to raising our voices against fanaticism, religious intolerance, racism, violence, terror, and hatred in all of its forms, and doing whatever we can to create a future in which all people can live in freedom, community, and peace without fear. May it be so, because we make it so. The words of you minister, Reverend John Saxon.
Hey, everybody. So, good morning. My name is Jenn Jones, and I'm the Director of Lifespan Religious Education here at the BBUC. My pronouns are she, they. And today we will be doing an interactive story. I have my friend Hannah over here who's going to be helping me out. So we're going to start off with a little practice, because it's been a while since we've done one of these. So first, I want everybody to close your eyes real quick. So we're going to picture after a long, hot day. I know, unimaginable, right? So after a long, hot day, maybe you were doing yard work, maybe you were just walking around, and you finally have an opportunity to get into a pool. and have an ice cold glass of water. What sound would you make? All right, hold up silent again. Everybody open their eyes. All together. 1, 2, 3. Very good. All right. Good crowd. All right, number 2. We're going to be raindrops this time. So there's 2 different ways. You can do the first way, the second way, or you can do both. So the first way, go ahead and hold it up. You can just say pitter-patter. Pitter-patter. All right. The other way we can do it is by snapping our fingers. Or if you're really talented, you can do both. On the count of 3, 1, 2, 3. Pitter-patter. There you go. All right, so for cue card number 3, we're going to be a big sound of wind. Hold it up. Whoosh. All right, very good. And now for number 4, I'm not even going to say anything other than 1, 2, 3. You got it. All right, and number 5, I think we have a lot of things to celebrate. So we're going to extend our hands way up and give it 1, 2, 3. Woo! All right, and the last one is just a motion. So you can do it one way or the other, or if you're really into the disco thing, you can go ahead and do that one. All right, so I think we're ready for our story. All right, so it's a Drop's Journey by Tim Adkins. My earliest memory is drifting up through the sky, heading further and further up. I couldn't see anything else that looked like me, but I could somehow feel that the sky was full of things just like me as I kept rising. We practiced a lot. I started to gain a form that I could see. I was a single drop of water, but I was part of something greater. Together with some other drops of water, we formed a family, a big, puffy family. We floated around the sky for what seemed like an eternity, but eventually we started to fall back down to earth. Although the trip back down to the ground was pretty fun, and I was surrounded by my friends and my family, I still felt pretty lonely. I missed that feeling of being part of something greater than myself, and it was pretty fun floating around the sky. I felt like I was losing part of myself as I fell towards the ground. Before I knew it, splat. I hit the ground hard. There were just enough green stuff all around me, and I was slowly starting to sink down to the ground. It was cold and dark, and I was really scared. Some of my friends that fell down to the ground disappeared into the different roots, and I felt alone in the darkness. I kept falling and falling through the ground. It was dark. I couldn't see where I was going, and I thought I'd be stuck alone in the darkness forever. I slammed up against something pretty hard. And I was stuck against a rock and a hard place for quite a long time. It took time, oh, so much time, but I made it past the rock. And then I met other drops like me who had made it past the rock and the hard place. And we started to come together. It was a very exciting time. These were entirely different drops that I had never met before, and had some really interesting stories to tell. One remembered being part of a plant that got eaten by a deer. One remembered being part of a great storm that was blown all the way through the tree. It was nice having so many different drops from different backgrounds come together. Eventually, our stream, that's what we called ourselves, made it out of the darkness and into the light. Woohoo! We saw all sorts of fun sights, and soon our stream joined with the other streams. We weren't worried about losing each other because we found even more friends along the way. We had become more than just individual streams. We had become a river. Our river merged with more, and soon we joined a big body of water, one of the elder drops called a sea. I had never felt more at home. There was a big community of all of us, individual water drops. Some came from rivers, and some came from the sky. Drops continually joined us, and we celebrated their arrival. Drops would also leave us, disappearing back to the sky. Although we mourned their loss, we knew that they were continuing on their journey, and we wished them well. I had made it through the dark times and arrived at my home. In our story, the drops of water that came from different streams to find community together, when they merged into a river and then later into a sea. When two sources of water meet, it's impossible to tell which water they came from. A true community is formed. We all come from different places and different experiences, but when we unite as a community, we are inseparable. I want to thank Hannah for her help.
Good morning, my name is Kris, and I've been a member here for about 20 years. My pronouns are she and her. Rivers, water, flow, life, love, abundance, community. Many Unitarian Universalist congregations have an ingathering tradition after Labor Day, familiar to some and new to others. This is a way for us to honor the community coming together in a new church year through a water sharing ceremony, or water communion, as it's sometimes called. Communion is a word that means sharing. The water sharing service is a relatively new ritual as rituals go. Lucille Shuck Longview and Carolyn McDade, whose name might be familiar to you as the author of the hymn Spirit of Life, came up with the idea in 1980 for a Women and Religions Conference as a special way of honoring what each person brought to the gathering. Women at the conference were so moved by the way the ritual expressed how the powers of each person magnified when they all came together, that they brought the idea back to their home congregations, and the practice just spread from there. This ceremony is about sharing. Sharing ourselves, sharing love. This communion, this sharing, uses water to symbolize our coming together, to be united in this Unitarian Universalist community of faith, one congregation in many places. We'd like to acknowledge that parts of the ritual portion of our ceremony this morning comes from the Unitarian Universalist Church of Fresno, under the leadership of Reverend Tim Kudsmark, who generously shared their resources with us. This morning, we invited you to bring a sample of water, symbolizing the places and ways your spiritual well springs forth. Some of us brought water from special places we have visited. Others brought water from our kitchen faucet or garden hose. Some of us had no idea where to bring water to church, and a few of us even forgot. No worries. We have small cups of water available to use symbolically. The place where it comes from doesn't really matter. It matters what it represents to you. It represents all of the ways you are nourished in body and spirit. And now let us begin our water sharing ceremony with a song, Bring Me a Little Water, Silvy, by the musicians of First Unitarian, Brooklyn.
Bring me a little water, Silvy. Bring me a little water now. Bring me a little water, Silvy. Every little once in a while. Bring it in a bucket, Silvy. Bring it in a bucket now. Bring it in a bucket, Silvy. Every little once in a while. Silvy, come running, bucket in her hand. She will bring a little water fast as she can. Bring me a little water, Silvy. Bring me a little water now. Bring me a little water, Silvy. Every little once in a while.
Can't you see me coming? Can't you see me now? I will bring a little water.
Every little once in a while. Bring me a little water, Silvy. Bring me a little water now. Bring me a little water, Silvy. Every little once in a while. Once in a while, won't you bring me a little water, Silvy? Bring me a little water now. Bring me a little water, Silvy. Every little once in a while. Once in a while, won't you bring me a little water, Silvy? Bring me a little water now. Bring me a little water, Silvy. Every little once in a while. Every little once in a while, yeah. Every little once in a while. Ooh, bring me a little. Every little once in a while.
The place where the water comes from doesn't really matter. What matters is that it represents you. It represents all the ways you are nourished in body and spirit.
Water is precious. It is the source of life. It flows through the world's rivers. It drops from skies. It roars in the sea, and it pulses in our body.
We mingle our water amidst an ongoing epidemic, climate crisis, and deep divisions in our country. We do so amidst dangerous droughts and water shortages around the globe, while on the opposite side of the spectrum, we have extreme flooding and destruction caused by changes in precipitation patterns
as well as stronger and more intense hurricanes and storms.
Water touches every shore and nourishes every race of people. The water we will blend represents the independent web of all existence of which we are a part. It connects us to the floodwaters in Kentucky and the tears shed in Afghanistan, Yemen, and other places around the world. This morning, this water represents our connection to this church community. By pouring our water into our common bowl, we are saying,
This is my community. I am part of this.
This
The
Unitarian Universalist faith tradition
is my religion. Or for folks who are new to Unitarian Universalism or this church and are exploring, you're going to say that for this moment, something here speaks to your soul. To pour your water and symbolically blend it with everyone else's says that you want to recommit for another year to this church, this faith that sides with love, that nourishes our spirit, that challenges us to change our world for the better.
This morning, spread out on the table around our bowl of community, we also have blue gemstones. After you pour your water into our bowl of community, we invite you to pick up one of those blue gemstones and take it with you back to your seat. After the service, take it with you back to your home and put it someplace where you will see it from time to time. Let that blue gemstone remind you that you are connected to this church community.
In a moment, those of you who wish to participate in our water sharing ceremony will be invited to come forward. When we begin, we ask you to come forward from both sides of the church, down your rows to the center aisle, and in turns, come forward to the community bowl. Once you pour your small amount of water into the bowl, one at a time, pick up a stone and return to your seats on the two side aisles. We will call you to begin coming down the center, starting with the rows in the back and moving forward to the front rows. We have small cups of water available up front for those who don't have any water available already, and so everybody can participate. But first, we invite Molly Brady to pour water that includes a single drop from the St. Johns River, the longest river in Florida, flowing 310 miles north from its headwaters in Blue Cypress Lake in Indian River County to its mouth where it empties into the Atlantic Ocean east of Jacksonville. The Timucua Native Americans once called it by the name Willaca, or River of Lakes, because there are nearly 3,500 lakes found in its watershed. We pour it to remind us how fragile our precious river is, with its tributaries and wetlands, and how we must continue to work to keep its waters clean and healthy. Bless these waters, that they might awaken our thirst for environmental justice. Now, we invite Hannah Laura Chappelle to pour waters from the past, water saved from previous water sharing ceremonies celebrated by this same church. Water brought by many over the years, water brought by some who have moved away, water brought by those who have now passed into the mysteries of death. Bless these waters, that they might help us remember. Water from past services have always been boiled and preserved from one year to the next. In a moment, we will bring water from the present, water that on this day is filled with memories of our summer, water that holds all the joy and hope and sadness and concern we carry in our hearts. Bless these waters, that they might help us be mindful, Beginning with the back rows, you may now come forward down the center aisle to the community bowl, remembering that there are cups of water available on the small table in front. As we hear music from our own Dr. Gary Smart, we invite you to come forward quietly and mindfully, lifting up your thoughts about what you bring to our common bowl. Don't forget to take one of the gemstones with you as you return to your seats.
Our water has been mingled. Let us now join our voices in blessing this water in our bowl of community.
Our response is, we bless these waters with our love. Would you please say that with me? We bless these waters with our love. And once more, we bless these waters with our love.
I invite you, as you are comfortable, to stand. As we are comfortable doing so, please reach up a hand. If you want to stand up, reach up your hand. Palm up towards the bowl of community. Imagine all of our love and good intentions flowing from us into the water before us.
Spirit of life, may this water remind us that even as our bodies can thirst, our souls too can experience cries of frustration, remember oceans of separation, feel the sweat of effort, and know the sense of uplift that tears of happiness can bring. Together let us say, we bless these waters with our love.
We know that few of our dreams could come true without the help of those around us. And even the dreams we fulfill alone beg for the company of others to make them meaningful. Let us together say, we bless these waters with our love.
Let us bless this water with our individual hearts and our shared commitment, so that we understand this truth. Just as water is the essence of our very life, it is our relationships to one another, to the earth, and to the great mystery of being that makes life worth living. One last time, together, let us say,
we bless these waters with our love.
Amen.
May it be so. Blessed be.
At the conclusion of today's service, we will place a portion of our collective waters in the container where we keep waters for our 30-plus years of these annual gatherings. It will be sterilized and used as sacred water in child dedications and other sacred ceremonies. We'll place the remainder of the water in our memorial garden, and our chaplain, Donna Zimmerman, invites those of you in our congregation who have lost a loved one in the past year to gather with her in the memorial garden to remember their souls as we return the water to the soil of our own sacred place. And we invite everyone of all ages to join us after our benediction for an old-fashioned ice cream social, as well as fair trade coffee and fellowship in the back of the sanctuary. And now, please rise in body or spirit and join us for our closing hymn, number 100 in your gray hymnals, I've Got Peace Like a River. We'll sing all 6 verses, and please remain standing for the benediction and the extinguishing of the chalice.
like to invite Stacy back to the pulpit to extinguish our chalice and our flames of joys and concerns. Our benediction is by Tess Bomberger. May the spirit of life and loving be with you as you move through life. May the spirit of life and loving nourish you in the dry times and allow the abundance of life, loving, patience, and compassion to flow through you, to flow to you and through you. May it be so. Blessed be, and amen.